night train.
Looking for a vibrant nightlife experience in Bogalusa, Louisiana? Look no further than Our Legend Sports Bar and Grill. This black-owned hotspot is located at 709 East 4th Street, Bogalusa, Louisiana. Come dance the night away on our energetic dance floor where the DJ is sure to keep the party going all night. Enjoy a full bar offering great drink specials and party deals that will make your night unforgettable. Don't meet us there, beat us there. Stop by Our Legends and become a part of the legend that is us.
All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of the Night Train podcast with Drew and Kev. Tonight, we have a really special guest. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with her. Wealth of knowledge, especially in the education system. She is a proud native of Franklinton, Louisiana. She's a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. She's also graduated from Franklinton High School, Dillard University, and then on to my alma mater, Southeastern Louisiana University. Go Lions. Kewanda is the assistant principal at Bogalusa High School at the moment, previously serving as an administrator and a first grade teacher at Central Elementary, Wesley Ray Elementary, as well as Franklinton Primary. When not at school, she's very active in the community throughout the Washington Parish area. Kewanda loves her family and her community and her students, both past and present. Let's all welcome Miss Kewanda in to the Night Train podcast. How you feeling tonight, Miss Kewanda?
I'm good. Thank you for the invite.
Brother Kale, how we feeling tonight, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Fresh off of well, we're not fresh. We're a few weeks out of Mardi Gras. I told Kewanda they've been celebrating Mardi Gras for the last 2-3 weeks. It ended
And still,
how long
around.
ago? Look, yeah, I was about to say you still got everything up. They probably have a Mardi Gras party next week.
Yeah, I see the tree behind it and everything, man. You know, that's what's up, though, man. Keep the spirit flowing, keep the spirit going, man.
Just being lazy at this point.
Yeah. But it was a good time. It really was a good time for Mardi Gras. So I don't blame you. It was a lot of positivity around the city, you know, during this time. Not around just the city, but just the parish, man. It was a really, really good time. So but I do want to start off the podcast tonight, Ms. Kewanda. I want to kind of discuss a wide variety of different things, but a couple of things me and Kev have on our mind that we would like you to shed some light on. But first, I want to start off with you just kind of giving us a background of your journey through all your different educational stops that you've made along the way.
Well, like you said, I started off at Franklinton Primary. I taught first grade for approximately 10 years, and then I was asked to move to Wesley Ray Elementary School, and I served 1 year as the faculty coordinator, and then from there became the principal and stayed there about 6 years, and then from there, right in the height of COVID, I moved to Central Elementary, and from Central Elementary, now I am with the Lumberjacks at the Bogalusa High School.
She went from a demon to a jack.
Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. But speaking of that, you know, I kind of want you to kind of give me an idea of the current state, just general current state of what you feel like education is, where you feel like education in our area is at the moment.
At the moment, I do feel like we're suffocating. There's so much that's going on, starting from the federal government on down, that it puts us all at a disadvantage of trying to figure out what's the what if, you know, because there's so many demands that's coming down, and it puts so much pressure, not only on the teachers, but as the students as well. So it's always a day of just walking into the unknown. So education is nothing like it used to be, put it like that.
Yeah. Okay, so with you having such one of the things I really want to get into with you having such a hands-on experience at all the different schools in our parish, I just want you to kind of give me an idea of the contrast between Franklinton High School, the elementary system out there, and here at Bogalusa and the elementary schools here as well as the high school. What's the contrast, the good and bad, pros and cons? Is one better? Is one worse? Just talk a little bit to that.
I can say each school has their own particular culture. Even from Central to Bogalusa High School, each school has their own particular culture. But I can say when we look at the Washington Parish School District compared to the Bogalusa School District, everything is quiet kept over here in Washington Parish. Things happen, but you just won't know about it. But over in Bogalusa, it's more vocal. As soon as something happens, it's on Facebook, it's shared everywhere. But things happen in Washington Parish just as they do in Bogalusa. And a lot of times we don't know, we tell our story and we paint a narrative that we really don't want it to be known. And a lot of times if mom's the word, things will have a better outcome. And it's just like I tell my students all the time, don't give them the pen to write your story. We're writing our own story every day. But if you're giving them the pen with the foolishness of posting, if there's a fight or just making up something, of course they're gonna take it and run with it. Right. That's what Bogalusa does, you know. Right. And that's not us. You know, right. I've been asked, do you feel safe going to school? Do you bring your peace with you? No. I'm safe. I never felt that I was afraid.
You got that iron on you at the house?
No, babe. No, baby.
That's what I heard, but okay.
I mean, think about it now at Bogalusa High School. It's like we're in Fort Knox, you know? Somebody has to buzz you in to get through the first door, and then to move to the next door, you have to be buzzed in.
Right. So let me ask you this question.
Definitely wasn't like that when we were there.
Nah, absolutely not. So before you came to Bogalusa, I want you to give me, when you was in Franklinton Primary, when you was at Franklinton High School, I want you to tell me, what was your outlook on Bogalusa when you were there? Before you came and was able to experience the culture and experience the atmosphere, what was your honest to God opinion of us before you got here?
I mean, just listening growing up, everybody was like, oh, be afraid of Bogalusa, you know. And then Katasha and my mom moved to work in the school system prior to me. So then I was able to see in a whole new light from their perspective. And then once I came into it, I don't want to go back. I love Bog.
Hey, man. So I love to hear. So, and I'm gonna let Kev hop in on a second if he has a. But this is always interested me.
But I will say this, Drew. I'm the type of person, wherever you put me, wherever I'm planted, I'm gonna grow. Because I'm gonna learn something from every place I've been.
Yeah, respect. So my question I want to kind of ask, why do you feel like that they kind of get the golden treatment in Washington Parish when it comes to, you know, not having the bad side exposed versus Bogalusa? Why do you think that's the case? Do you think that's the majority of our own doing as citizens here in Bogalusa, or do you feel? Oh, I never. Well, I want you to speak to that. I want you to you know, to make a point about that, because I don't think a lot of people understand that Franklinton has just as many problems. These other schools just in the parish have just as many issues, just as many problems that is not, but they're not portrayed in the same light. So I just want you to speak to why you personally feel, especially with your experience of being, because not a lot of people has been and taught at all of them. You've been there, so you have firsthand knowledge of that. So I want you to kind of speak to why you feel that is.
I'm just gonna be honest. It's the skin color. It's the skin color. And a lot of times we don't want to own up to it, but I'm just going to say it. It's the skin color. A lot of times we see color before we see the true picture of a child. And a child's mentality is only derived from what they have been taught. So it's just like when we think about sports. I mean, our kids have the right to play just about any other school, but we can't even play our neighbors right down the street. And that's hard to even have that conversation with a child when they say, "Oh, Miss Kewanda, you live in Franklinton. Do you see that we hurt? Are we doing this to you?" No, you're not. And so it's hurtful because I hear those things. And even I've had some of us that look like us to even make those comments. And now we see Franklinton has some things going on. It's a state of emergency because just look at what's happened this week alone. So we can't be so quick to point a finger. And it's like I say all the time, it's hard for our kids to understand why they can't. And then it's even just mind blowing. I can think back to we had the Meet the Jacks. We had some students from Franklinton High School that were literally hiding behind the wall so they wouldn't be caught on camera. Because they didn't want their parents to know that they were at Meet the Jacks.
That's crazy. That's insane. Kev, I'm gonna let you check because Kev, I talk about this type stuff all day, man. Because this is kind of like something I get on my soapbox about, and I never stop talking about the portrayal.
And I mean, I can think back to there was a block party, I think maybe about a year ago, and some of our students were there. Well, guess what? They started shooting at the block party, and I got a phone call from someone with authority. Called and said, "Hey, it's a lot of Bogalusa students out here. You might want to get here quick."
Automatically, man.
Automatically. And I mean, it really bothered me because there were students out there that I taught in first grade.
Right.
That know me. But me, I'm putting on my super cape. Hey, I'm taking care of my bold kids. Yeah. Get in your cars, and I'm calling your mamas and telling them you're on your way home.
On your way home, yeah. And we definitely need a lot more of that. Kelby, you got anything to chime in before I ask this next question?
That's what I was gonna say, and you just mentioned it about the parents. Like Drew, you talk about us being solution based all the time. Are we gonna ask ourselves what role are the parents playing in this? What role is the community playing in this? Because in my opinion, until you clean up the community, Bogalusa is as a high school, because during football season, that's all people care about. That's all they care about is Bogalusa High School football. So anything that happens on a Friday, let's say a shooting happens on a Friday. It could happen at 2:00. The headline is going to read, "Shooting hours before Bogalusa High School football game." Yep. So at what point are we going to hold ourselves accountable, worry about what we have going on at home? Because eventually that's going to bleed out into the classroom. If your child is in Franklinton and a shooting happened, why Miss August got to call you and tell you to come get your child? That's how I look at it. I know some people may be upset at that, but I think about it worrying about what my kids are. I know where they at all times. So we got to figure out what's going on at home, because you shouldn't question if a teacher, if you know your child is bad, and this is something Drew has said before time and time again. If you know your child is bad, when Miss Kewanda call your house, you better not go back and forth, because your child did it. He did it. He did it.
But you see, but it also goes back to what type of relationship you've had with those parents. Because a lot of times educators will think they're up here and the parents are down here. But when you start making those deposits and you have to make that withdrawal, you can call, and as soon as you call Miss Kewanda, what they do? No, it's not even about that.
All right, hold on. Before you gloss over that, explain to to the people what deposit and withdrawals are, because I don't want anybody to miss that, because one of the issues that we have is this connection and relationship between the parents and the staff, the educational staff, the teachers, the administration. But there's a huge divide between the two. So explain what deposits and withdrawals mean, and why that can lead to fixing that divide.
Gotcha. So when I say make deposits, let's just say when Lil Sean has a T-ball game coming up, and he tells you about that T-ball game. Hey, my coach is Coach Drew, and we playing Saturday at 6:00. What is it going to hurt you to just show up?
As an educator.
As an educator. Because a lot of times we think our job ends right there. Or we only have to show up when we have to sign on the dotted line that, hey, we worked our time at the game or whatever. No, show up.
But I have a question. What is the age range of the teachers there at Bogalusa High School?
We
Like,
go from here to there.
like, so is there many 28 to 48-year-olds?
I would say that we have.
Okay,
It's a. Mhm.
so that's gonna kind of prove my point.
Mhm.
Growing up, you had the high school games packed.
Mhm.
You had Ori was telling me the other day they had a playoff game or something. They had to say excuse me leaving out the field house to get to the field. It was packed.
Mhm.
We are that generation now. The people before us was packing the stadium.
Mhm.
We're the parents now. We're the ones that should be there.
Right.
So when you have our age range, I'm 32. So my age range is, kids are probably middle school, just getting into high school, something like that. You're the ones that should be at the games. That's that 28 to 48 right there.
Mhm.
And that's one thing I've always said. It was a meme going around of a packed basketball like gym. And it reminded me of Bogalusa though when I was a kid. And we're like, oh, people not going to the games, everybody, the stadium should be packed. Well, it's because my people not there.
Mhm.
And if the teachers aren't there, they're the same age group.
Mhm.
But I mean, I remember when I was in school, I still had teachers show up. But when I'm at the games, look, I'm coming from Houston, and if I can drive
Mhm.
6 hours to go, I don't understand why you can't drive 6 minutes.
Exactly.
Stay till halftime.
Mhm.
Let your art student. That's one thing. Dana Keaton, she at
Yes.
every game.
Yep.
She's at every single game. Like,
Mhm.
why don't you want to support your students? Miss Paris Summerall, when I was in school, she was all the games.
Mhm.
So I just don't understand it. I don't get it.
And I mean, that's just like, even we talk about football, but we have baseball, we have softball, and what is it going to take for you just to go and spend those 30 minutes sitting at the game? I can tell you it's hard trying to get individuals to sign up to work a game. And it puts us at a disadvantage. And even when they do work, they might take a seat, never walk around, get to know the kids. We had the military ball this past weekend. God knows I was the weather was bad and everything else, but I still got dressed. Went to the military ball, stayed through the program. Once the program was over, the music started. They started dancing, and yes, we did boots on the ground. You have to get out there and make. I mean,
man, Kewanda, I need names. We need names of teachers because I'm tired of it already.
Well, so here's my question. I understand you mean making deposits for the children, right?
mm-hmm.
You there for the kids
And it's the
but
same thing with the parents too, Drew.
yeah, that's the concept that I wanted to ask.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that can be done? Because believe it or not, there's a lot of educators who have great relationships with
Mm-hmm.
some of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But the real big problem comes into play when it comes to parents and teachers. Like, there's no connection anymore between, unless like the teacher is related to them or have some type of special
Right.
relationship, then it's like, oh no, I'm okay with this teacher, but as far as overall, there's no connection anymore between teachers and parents. So that's the question that I'm asking is, what is going to bridge that gap between the two?
And I can
Is
tell
it?
you that's a struggle trying to
Yeah.
get teachers to make that connection with parents. Don't
Hmm.
wait till the 2 weeks before the bell rings to say, "Hey, look, Drew not gonna pass."
Hmm.
Why you haven't made those connections back in second 9 weeks? Because you knew
Hmm.
that child was having trouble in second 9 weeks. So it's
Hmm.
not all the student's fault. We're gonna look at the teacher as well, because
Hmm.
you should have been making those connections with that parent, saying, Drew's not turning his homework. He's sitting there talking to Kev all day during class. And then sometimes just pick up the phone and say, hey, Drew turned in his work today. And
Yeah.
we know
Something
we've been
positive.
working to try to get that. I appreciate your help. Stay on him, and we can get this done together. So those
Mhm.
are those deposits. So when it
Yeah.
comes down to calling to say, hey, he's been tardy 3 times, Miss Kewanda, okay, I got you. We're gonna work on it
Mm-hmm.
because he needs
Yeah.
to get to class.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another question that kind of piggybacks off of that. Do you feel like school because I guess it's much more of a vibe, but do you feel like the importance of education and grades has just large in part just diminished overall in the minds of parents, not just students, but in the minds
Mm-hmm.
of parents as well?
Indeed.
Because that's gonna make it a lot harder to bridge that gap
Mm-hmm.
because making a D nowadays, I don't think carries the same weight as making a D when I
Exactly.
was, in school. So,
Exactly.
do you feel like that's large in part because of people growing up and realizing that I haven't used calculus in
Mm-hmm.
ever since I left school. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't used trigonometry ever since I left school. Like, do you think a lot of that has to do with that? And if so, how do we bring the morale back then if people realize, like, hey, this C in 10th grade geometry ain't gonna matter?
Right. And this is something that we have been struggling with. Just as recently as today, we did a mock drill of getting ready for the ACT test.
Hmm.
And we all know we've struggled with ACT scores for our students.
Hmm.
And like I've had the conversation with our counselors, we have to do something to boost the morale and make them realize, hey, you might be saying you're not going to school right now, but hey, after a semester of sitting out of school, you say, I want to go to school.
Hmm.
But guess what? You got to have the ACT score. And we have to show them that it's very important. The
Hmm.
ASVAB, the work keys, all of these things are important. And a lot of
Hmm.
times they don't see the sense of urgency because they don't see it in the educators, they
Hmm.
don't see it in the parents. And
Hmm.
it's not cool because my classmates are not doing it. So it's kind of like I said, you're
Uphill
suffocating.
battle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Well, if their parent isn't pushing them to take it,
It's okay.
I'm because Drew, I will never forget. I will never forget week 2 of my senior year. I had the worst football game of my life. It was a muddy game. It was horrible. We played Clark out of New Orleans. We were playing at home. You know how bad Bogue Field was at the time.
Oh, terrible, man. Yeah.
Had a horrible game, Drew. We lost to Clark. We had no reason we should have lost to Clark, but we lost.
Hmm.
The very next morning, I went and took the ACT. My mama woke me up
Mm-hmm.
at like 6, 7 o'clock.
Hmm.
I'm sore. Just had a game. You know, I go and take the ACT, and that score is what got me in the UL.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Go Cajuns, by the way.
Hmm.
So if Miss Karen can wake me up after playing football the previous night, I don't understand why the parent isn't fighting for their child and get upset when they feel like the school isn't putting in more effort than them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, and I'm just trying to shoot. I don't know. I guess it's such a twisted web of issues because one of my frustrations, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Kel, one of my frustrations is because I know Virgil Moses, and I know I like how she is when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
education and things of that nature, but the one thing that I have realized too, so I didn't have a choice from jump. That's just how
Exactly.
my family was designed. That was the way it was going to be. They didn't care if you didn't want to specialize in nothing. You gonna go do your 4 years and get a degree just to have one. But
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of these situations, a lot of these kids would have done so much better if they would have been geared toward a trade in their sophomore year or their freshman year. And I think that's the new evolution, or the new wave that's coming into education now. And I think we're so retro and caught behind in our
Mm-hmm.
area, and that causes issues because you're trying to force this kid that is not gonna go on to
Exactly.
has no inclination at all to, or no desire at all to go on and to a 4-year university. So you're trying to force them to into this pipeline that they just
Mm-hmm.
don't fit in. So that leads into a certain level of frustration. So a lot of these parents that are trying are fighting a losing battle because the child that you had a certain mindset that your mother you're motivated by, and it shows, and even in everything that you do today. Same concept with me. I had a certain mindset because of how we was raised and how we was brought up. But there are a lot of these kids that don't share that same mindset. So I can't dismiss the parents, just say like, hey man, the parents, it's your fault. Like some of them really do try. But
And
yeah, like
and I
when
can't
it comes
say
to behavior, that's a different conversation. But when we talk about education, that's a different conversation.
You have those kids, you have those parents who will push, and want to stay on top of it, but hey, I'm not gonna do it because it's just not cool. Because I have a new mindset when it comes to the people I'm around.
Well,
so
you know
my
what?
growth
If it's not
mindset
cool,
changed.
if it's not cool, don't send me no Cash App request for nothing.
Yeah.
If it ain't cool, like no, I'm being for real. Like for real, man. I completely understand. College is not for everybody.
No.
Me working with the football players over the last few years, I tell them all the time, college may not be for everybody, but it's good to get away for a semester. Go out, see something else. Go see Lafayette. Go see Baton Rouge. Go find something else. And if it doesn't work, come back. Come back, get your TWIC card, learn a trade, something. But like, I wonder if this is something, like you made the reference talking about parents and teachers, waiting until the last semester or the end of the 9 weeks to finally try to have that conversation. Is that something you could talk about early on? Because Drew, me, probably all of us, it was never anything other than college. It's you're going to college, you're going to college, you're going to college. Yeah. Now we're starting to see that you don't have to go to college to make good money anymore, right?
Right.
So if that is the case, maybe find what your child is good at and find a way to monetize it.
So now we're moving into what we call the CTE courses, where they can get certified in different job paths. So we're looking at bringing more of that to the school, because we're finding more and more that some of our kids are not wanting to go to college.
Right.
I mean, it's nothing wrong with going to the technical school. There are other opportunities, but we have to give those students the leverage right now in high school. We have to let them know what doors are available to them.
Right.
All aboard the night train.